Dr. Hugh Menai-Davis was just 5 years old when he was diagnosed with a rare form of cancer. Hugh showed tremendous bravery while undergoing treatment, but sadly, not long after his 6th birthday, he passed away.
His parents are now campaigning for Hugh's Law, which is designed to provide furlough-style payments for those caring for their sick child during lengthy hospital stays. Hugh's dad, Ceri, joins us now, along with Georgie Moseley, who says her family also struggled to get any real support when her 11-year-old son, Harry, was diagnosed with an inoperable brain tumour and tragically passed away in 2011. Well, good morning to both of you. Thanks so much for joining us this morning. It's such sad circumstances, obviously, surrounding all of this, but I know how much it means to both of you to be here and hopefully to be able to make the difference. Because, Ceri, for you, you've been campaigning for this, and hopefully it seems like this is now going to happen.
Yeah, so obviously losing a child is the worst thing that can ever happen to you. Even just being told your child has cancer is probably the worst thing that can ever happen to you, and there's different layers to everything. But you know, when Hugh passed away, my wife and I, Frances, we set about wanting to create a legacy, and as Georgia has as well with their son Harry, it's all about making sure that they live on and have longevity, and making sure that we put what they went through to good. And yeah, getting in contact with Furlough, my MP, just wanted to make a change. We saw what parents were going through in hospital, and we went through it during COVID, Frances and I, so we were completely isolated. Everything was sort of not available to us, and the government introduced a furlough-style system during that time. And after Hugh passed away, we just saw and read stories when we set the charity up of what parents are still going through. And we thought, well, if they've introduced the furlough-style system easily for COVID, why not can't we introduce it for those parents that are stuck in hospital, not being able to work, looking after a sick child, which is the worst thing that you can ever do, and not have the added burden of just worrying about how you're going to pay your mortgage or pay the electric.
I think that's the thing, isn't it? It's a horrifically challenging time enough as it is, knowing that your child is going through that, wanting to be there for them, having to make changes to make that happen, and then to have to worry about the financial side of things as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's just huge. I mean, for example, we were playing, with Hugh, it was half-term, October half-term when he was diagnosed. He was playing golf with me Monday, playing Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, he was all right. And Thursday evening, my wife and I just noticed that he sort of didn't look right, and he was a bit quiet and went off his food, and then all of a sudden, in the space of 36 hours, going from thinking he had a stomach bug to being told he has cancer, and it's that quick. And then in the space of 7 days, I've got pictures of him on my phone, you can see on the screen, as him running around and all of a sudden being on oxygen and receiving chemotherapy immediately. So life changes quickly, and especially in the world that we lived in with the children's cancer, where it can change quickly. You can be out playing one day and all of a sudden you're in hospital. And for those parents, one parent has to go and be the full-time caregiver. So there's no choice. You have to be the full-time caregiver, and you have to leave work. And it puts strain also on the other partner, because they have to split between siblings and work, which is completely not right.
Georgie, tragically, it's a story you know only too well. Yeah. We've been friends for a long time now, and I knew Harry when he was alive, and he was an extraordinary young boy. But the reality of Harry's illness on you and the family, just talk us through what you all went through, because exactly what Ceri's talking about happened to you guys, didn't it?
Absolutely, Ben. It was really hard, really difficult. I had to give up work, become Harry's carer. That meant the very next month I couldn't pay my mortgage. And it's only when you get to a certain point that people want to help, and it's like the middle bit when, until you're at sort of terminal diagnosis, nobody was there to help. We couldn't reach anybody on the phone. So we were forced to sell our house. We moved twice, and it didn't just impact on Harry, but his brother and sister as well. And we just felt very alone, very isolated, because it was always answering machines, and there was no immediacy of support when you just want to focus on your family,
And the reality of something like this, Hugh's Law, like a furlough, or we have paternity, we have maternity leave, we have all of these supported options when big things happen in our lives. What would that have meant to you and the family, and what could something like this mean to families that tragically have to go through this?
Would have meant everything. Our life was... Everybody just needs to have a pause button. When we rather than us face losing our home, if we could have just had a little bit of time, when we eventually... It took us 3 years to fight and get... I still live, and I'm not ashamed of saying I still live in my council house now, where Harry spent the last 12 months of his life. But if we'd have just been able to have a couple of years, because obviously from when we actually got the house, 12 months later, Harry died, and then we had to carry on with life, you know. So, and that was all we needed. But actually, as I say, you know, his brother and sister are the ones who are left here now, who have had to grow up through going through their GCSEs and A-levels and deal with all of that move, as well as losing their brother. So actually, please don't frown upon anybody out there. The holistic side of support that is needed, it's equally as important as the medical side of things. And that's the fuel in my belly to now do what we do through Help Harry, Help Others.
Which is a great thing that you're doing to be able to support others going through that. I mean, then the positive thing is then there seems to be the will to get this through. We know that the Prime Minister said it's absolutely right that parents in this situation should have all the support they need, and we will make sure that happens.
Yeah, I mean, even if there's a chance it doesn't go through today, and we're positive that it will go through, just to raise the conversation in the House of Commons and have the Prime Minister recognise that parents in our situation and George's situation, parents all around the country don't have that support. We've raised the conversation and it's now becoming a talking point. So, you know, there's always a fight, and hopefully this goes through today and it starts. And what the bill does, it asks for the Treasury to report on the merits of giving money to us and parents in that situation. We just think hopefully that they'll see it in a way that it won't cost that much money to do in the scheme of things and what the UK contributes to, and it just takes such a burden off these parents.
Because it's about 4,000 a year, isn't it, who are affected?
Well, there's 4,000 children a year that are in hospital for more than 2 months at a time. So that means one parent has to be off work for 2 months at a time. And as Ben said, when you bring a child into the world, you're covered by maternity pay and paternity pay, and it's a happy time. When you're told your child is seriously ill, and the time where you need help the most, there seems to be a loophole where there's nothing available. So when you're losing a child, OK, the only thing you've got to cover yourself is 2 weeks paternity bereavement pay, which is only if you've been working in an industry for 6 months or you qualify for it. So where's those parents getting the help where if their child is dying or is terminally ill or is chronically ill, there seems to be nothing. And it's just a stress that they don't need.
You were telling me when we were on the break what it felt like when you suddenly heard Rishi Sunak talk about this.
Well, I'll be honest, I said to my wife, we got to... The whole of September and October is a hard month for us. Hugh was born on our first wedding anniversary on the 30th of August, and that's his birthday. And then September is his anniversary. My wife's birthday follows 3 days later on the 21st, his anniversary of his death. So the whole of September is hard for us, and we worked really hard to get this bill through, and then we ran out of time to get it through in this session, and I actually got into my head, this is not going to happen, and things like, you know, you start giving up, and Christmas is coming, it's hard enough. And then we were invited to go to PMQs on the 6th of December, and then, as just before, we were told that Sir Oliver was going to ask a question to the Prime Minister. I was thinking, right, OK, that's... Anyway, so, you know, he was getting grilled, unfortunately, the Prime Minister at the time on something, and then obviously Sir Oliver stood up and mentioned it, and then to have the support of the Prime Minister, I mean, Fran and I were in the gallery and we just burst into tears. It was just like a complete emotion, because we've only been really doing this since March 2022, and to think where we are now, in less than a year, I'm sat on your sofa talking about something that could potentially go through today
and change so many people's
lives. And people think I might campaign too much or might go on about this too much, but until you're really in our position, and as I said to Georgie outside before this, you know, there'll be someone watching the TV today will say, God, those parents, I would never want to be them. I sat here 4 years ago at my house watching the same thing on Sky News or other channels saying, I wish that was never me.
Maybe ITV?
ITV, that's ITV, saying it was never me. And, do you know, it was, and that's the first most my wife said to me, do you know, I always think it's someone else, it's never you. And that's what we call our charity. And
It's never you.
It's never you.
And sorry, Charlotte.
I was going to say, Georgie, you must be so pleased that this has come to this point now where it will make such a difference to others as well, because I know it's something that you've been wanting to see for years, isn't it, with the work that you've been doing to support other families?
Absolutely. You know, I'm in full admiration of Ceri and his wife Frances for what they're doing and how far they've come in such a short time. You know, when we lost Harry, because he'd started his charity, I had no intention of carrying on. But then, you know, everything we've discussed this morning, actually on reflection of everything that we went through, just thought, this isn't right. You know, and my question to government would be, why does it take for somebody with lived experience of something to actually make a change? You know, this should already be there. But, you know, for me, there was that choice of campaigning government, but I was, in all honesty, very disillusioned with our government and the lack of support, or I could use Harry's legacy to make change from day one, helping people affected by cancer through our Drop-In Cancer Support Centre. You know, and that was it. But it needs to happen. And, you know, you should be so proud of where you've got to. And this is going to help people of tomorrow, people who aren't even diagnosed yet, to just be. I can't give Danny and Louis, you know, their brother back or their childhood back. And that's also my fuel, you know, to keep me going. So it needs to happen, and I hope that every councillor and MP is listening and gets behind people who, small causes, who are trying to make change.
And it will make a massive difference. It's the lovely thing that Hugh and Harry will be remembered, and they'll be remembered for these amazing things that they are doing, and their name, their legacy is all about changing other people's lives, making it better, helping Harry help others. That's what it was. Such a simple message, George. It's why it's still so important to me. Ceri, thank you so much for coming in. Good luck today. Of course, we'll all be gripped, and Georgie, it's lovely to see you.
Yeah, thank you very much. And the government have said there are, you know, benefits that are available. So in the meantime, check if you are in this situation that you're getting all the help that you deserve and that you need.
It's one of the things that Georgie does with the families that come into you, isn't it? To help them find the ways to find that sort of support that's out there.
There needs to be immediacy, empathy and urgency, and that's what we offer at Help Harry. So if anybody wants to come in and have a look at our cancer centre, copy the model, replicate it nationally.
There we go.
You know, please do.
Good idea. Thanks both very much.